Hey everyone, and welcome to Offstage, a 20-minute conversation with students, hobbies, and professionals from the world of music about music. With me, your host Anagh, and today I have Pranav and Harsh. Hey guys, what's up?
Hello.
Hello, hello.
And before these guys throw me under the bus later in the episode, this is the second attempt at recording this because I forgot to record it the first time. Anyway, why don't you guys give us a little introduction about yourselves so that we know a little bit about you? Pranav?
Hi guys, I'm Pranav. I'm mainly a vocalist, but I also play the drums and recently trying to do guitar and bass and all. I'm a second year BTech student from MIT Manipal, and I've been learning it Octavium for quite a while now, I think. And yeah,
Harsh?
Okay. As I previously said in the previous recording, hello, I am Harsh Makam. I'm 18 and I'm studying second PUC in Bassist College. And yeah, I've been playing guitar since I was in the fourth grade. And I also play the bass guitar for two bands, Symphonic Eternity and Asylum to Let. And Pranav and Anagh are part of Asylum to Let.
Yeah, that's going to be our main topic for today, the band. So, before we get into that, like Harsh said, he plays guitar and bass, and Pranav plays drums and sings. So, can you guys tell us why you chose the instrument that you chose, whichever came first, and then why you chose the other one later? Like, why did you start playing a second instrument or start singing? Pranav?
so basically I come from a Tamil household in which as soon as you're born, it's either one of two tracks you take. You either get put into a Carnatic music class or a Bharatanatyam dance class. So basically from the time I was quite a young child, I was put into Carnatic, and I seemed to like it and I was good at it. So I had been continuing it like for a long time. And that's pretty much how my vocals started. I've been doing it for many years now. And drums is relatively recent. The way it started is actually quite by accident, I'd say. When I was in seventh or eighth, the school I was at the time offered instrument classes, and I remember I had signed up for guitar first, which I disliked, and there was an option to change into a different instrument later on, and I distinctly don't remember changing my name for drums, but it somehow happened to get into drums.
Nice.
And luckily, I really enjoyed doing that. So from there, it picked drums up as well.
Nice. Harsh?
So ever since I was a kid, I wanted to play the guitar because it just really fascinated me, and I thought anybody who could play the guitar was really cool, and I wanted to be really cool.
Who doesn't?
I mean, yeah. But what I didn't know at that time was that I was already cool.
Oh.
So yeah, I wanted to play the guitar, but I was too young because apparently my fingers were too small to reach all the strings, so I had to wait a few years. And then we shifted houses, and Octavium was very close by, and checked it out, and it was really cool. And I was like, yeah, I need to join this place. Then I met Cyril, amazing mentor. He's still teaching me. And I think a few years down the line after I picked up the guitar, Cyril's like, dude, you're just too good with the guitar. Learn another instrument. Take the bass.
Nice.
So I started playing the bass. And now I'm a bassist for two bands.
Yeah. And since both of you mentioned it, you both are learning at Octavium, are still learning at Octavium, and have been learning at Octavium for a really long time. Both of you are some of Octavium's longest learning students. So, could you guys tell us, like, not just learning at Octavium specifically, but having learned in the music school for so long, how has it like affected your lives? It sounds like one big, oh, how has it impacted your lives? But No. I just want to know like what's has it helped? How is it different? The sorts. Pranav.
So yeah, as I told, my music journey began before Octavium. I was learning both drums and vocals before it, but I had never been in an atmosphere such as Octavium before it, which is purely only for music and with multiple types of music, like instruments as well, under one roof essentially. So I had joined Octavium for drums first under Avinash sir back then, and I noticed that as soon as I joined, despite me having learned drums already for a year or so before that, my view of the instrument and the way I started to progress in it had like increased in multiple fold, like in a very short span, because of the structured way that it was being taught and the difference in the levels of the instructors as well. And couple years after that, relatively recently, I joined for Western vocals as well. And up until then, I'd only been trained in Carnatic. And once I joined Western vocals, it was again a step up. It was like a springboard again for the things that I'd learned and my abilities in vocals that went up after that. But Octavium, like it isn't only with the teachers that I feel it has impacted me. I mean, such meeting people as well. I mean, I met you both from Octavium and many other very talented musicians as well. Like it was the place where I first recorded professionally in the studio, and like the first time I had performed with proper gear and proper monitors. So it was a place where it really shaped me. I don't like, despite you not telling it was not to take it as a big thing, it was because music is a major part of my life. So it really molded my tastes in music and my journey, I guess.
Nice. I like that story. Harsh?
Okay, so I gave a really wholesome answer in the previous recording. But I don't know if I can put forward the same emotion, but I can't even imagine how uncool I would have been if it wasn't for Octavium, because I wouldn't have had a passion, and I feel like playing the guitar and the bass is a big part of me, and it's almost what defines me as a creative human being. So without Octavium, I don't think that would have been possible, and it's just given me a like I can see things in a different way after I've learned music for so long, and yeah, I'm very grateful for that. And not only that, as Pranav said, it's a place where I've met a lot of nice people, and I'm glad to have had them in my life for such a long time. And also the opportunities, of course, because we have played in Octavium anniversaries for so many years. And we have played so many gigs. I got into symphonic. I got recognized for symphonic through an Octavium recital. I think the second year anniversary. And yeah, and from there it's just symphonic. We've done so many performances. Asilo to Lead, we've done so many performances. Yeah, it's just nice.
Both bands have written original songs.
Yeah, that as well. Yeah.
Symphonic, an entire EP. Silo to Lead, we've recorded only one song, but written multiple. Nice, you managed to cover pretty much the entire wholesome story you told last time also.
Yeah, I did.
See?
Genius.
Very, very smart. Good thing you guys remember what to say. So, speaking of original music, not a lot of student bands would like do a lot of original music. Usually it's cover bands. So, since we've written a lot of original music, we've even recorded one, like I said. Could you guys give us a little insight as to what goes behind writing a song? I'd asked the same question in episode 1, but we got a guitarist's perspective of view in that one. Here, I want the perspective of a vocalist. Pranav is a vocalist, like he said and I said before, and Harsh is a bass player, which there are not a lot of. So, viewers, please, if you guys are even little bit interested in bass or find something attractive about it, go try it out. In the music community, bassists are in shortage, and if you're a good bassist, trust me, you'll have lots of band offers.
It's really cool. Yeah, we're so rare that they'll like 10 bands will come to you for offers. Okay, so it's really cool. Yeah.
I'm a drummer that plays bass, and even I've got more offers to play bass than drums. That's how much shortage the bases are. But anyway, we're getting off topic. original music?
Mhm.
Pranav?
Yeah, so from my point of view,
Hmm.
it's the way that I've usually gone about composing, whether it has been with a silo to let or with others as well. It usually starts off with an idea of a guitar riff,
Hmm.
and which blossoms into something that's a little more. So it's literally what I've found is basically just trial and error is like the best thing. Once
Hmm.
you just sit down and start jamming it out, you will get a couple ideas and a couple set of chords that will go together,
Hmm.
and a rhythm that will link up those chords as well. And once something like that gets set, it'll you I get start to get vocal melodies, and I try out a couple different types of them and see what might stick. And once that is done, honestly, the toughest part I feel is the decision making part of
Hmm.
which vocal melody to choose and which guitar riff to choose, because that will shape the entire song. And that is where it's like the most of your creative part goes into, because those chords and melodies can take any shape you want.
Right.
But once you get a rough idea of those two, then as soon as you get a theme or a, an emotion you want to write the song about, then it becomes a lot easier to write down lyrics as well, because you have the vocal melody at that point and you can decide which words to use to fit into that syllables and that sentence length.
Hmm. And Harsh?
So for me, it's been. I think I started composing, yeah, with Symphonic Eternity.
Hmm.
So I joined as a bassist, and I was really young at that point, and everybody around me was so talented. And
Hmm.
obviously, Anish like shredding, and Vijay could sing while play the guitar. I was like, what is this? And then Anagh on the double bass. So I was very intimidated in the studio. So I clearly remember holding back opinions and views because I was like so nervous about it and anxious that it was wrong. Uh, but yeah, I don't think there's a wrong answer. It's just trial and
Hmm.
error, as Pranav said. So I just used to copy what the guitarists were doing and just usually play the bass note,
Hmm.
and that was it. But now what I do is I try to mix what the guitar is playing and what the bass to what the drums is playing, because that's essentially what the bass is. It's like a rhythmic melody
Hmm.
which links the melodic section to the rhythm section of a band.
Yeah, and I just also want to say for everyone that's watching, this is not like a step-by-step instruction manual process on how to go about writing. This is more like advice if for people who are wanting to start out and want to try out different ways for different people, different ways work on how to go about writing original music. This is one way it has worked for us. So I want the viewers to not just with this episode, but with every episode, try and take something out of it if you're watching, because it could be really helpful for your musical journey. And moving on from that, since we're on the topic of original music and the band that we're all in, a silo to let, the name. How has that come about? It's a very interesting name. It's not. It's not very. It's not something typical. It's not something that you would come up with using a random word generator. So I think Pranav will have the answer for this one. Can you give us a little backstory of how the name Asilo to Let came about,
Yeah, yeah. So this is a story that I've told many times, and
including the last recording?
including
Yeah.
the last as
Hit
well.
recording.
And it's one that I do like to tell as well. So this name came about, I think, before Anagh and Harsh had kind of really joined the band as such. The band kind of started off with me and the guitarist Ritvik, who were at the same school at the time, which was around ninth or 10th, I suppose.
Hmm.
And we had a sort of band in school as well, basically just a group of people that we would perform. So
Hmm.
we wanted a name. And I remember, so one of these performances we had, I think it was for Children's Day or something like that. Back then, we had two vocalists, including me. One was me and a female vocalist.
Hmm.
And I came to know that a primary school teacher had approached our female vocalist and had told her that a performance was horrible. And I found this really funny that a primary school teacher of all would be discouraging like middle schoolers to such an extent. So I distinctly remember that day on the way back home, Ritik and I are in the same bus ride back home. So we were trying to think up of names, right? And the name of this teacher who had given us this comment was one called Miss Silo. And at that point, I was thinking of other bands who have named themselves based on criticism that they had received, such as Led Zeppelin being told that their career would be go down as a Led Zeppelin, and Daft Punk being called that because the music was called Daft Punky. So on that same vein, I realized that silo actually is an English word as well, which can refer to like basically a place to store missile or rice.
Yeah, rice.
Two very different things. So I was thinking maybe you could do something with that. And I remember on that bus ride back home, I was looking out the window, and houses that have been let out to rent that we are looking for tenants, they have a sign outside that says to let, or to-let with a number below them. And a thought popped up saying, why not a silo to let? And that's where it came up.
That's a really nice story. I'm sure the viewers will enjoy that. And Harsh, since Pranav said this all started with him and Ritvik as a duo with a female vocalist, how did you end up joining them as the bass player?
Okay, so basically, the first time I met Pranav was when we were jamming in Ritvik's house, the guitarist. Ritvik is my neighbor, and he lives right opposite to me. So we were actually jamming for some other performance. Like I think it was for their school, and I wasn't even a student there, so they're like, "It's okay, I don't care. Just hop on, man."
It was for our school, and we desperately needed a bass player.
Yes.
We were willing to even get a person from another school at that point.
Like, just come. So
see, guys,
that happened.
Bass players are in shortage.
Yeah,
please become a bass player.
Yeah. So after that, I think we realized that there was something here, and Pranav and Ritvik said, let's start jamming and become a band. So I'm like, okay, let's do this. And I went to L&T, Pranav, where Pranav lives. I was just there. I was like, it's just the three of us, right? Who are we waiting for? And Pranav was like, we're waiting for the percussionist. I'm like, what? And then he's like, yeah, Anagh. I'm like, wait, Anagh's here? That's how Anagh came into existence to this band. And so, that's how.
And now I'll complete this puzzle of how I ended up in Silo to Let. So basically, I found out through Cyril that there was this guitar student who was looking for a percussionist for his band. That student was Ritvik. He apparently asked Cyril if he knew a percussionist, a student of Octavium who could play well. So Cyril connected him to me, and Ritvik messaged me, asked me to come for a jam at L&T. I turned up at L&T and I see Harsh, and I'm like, what? This is a coincidence, because at the time we were already part of Symphonic.
Yeah, and we didn't know that we both were going to be part of this band too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And if anyone is really confused, Symphonics, another band that me and Harsh are a part of, and the guitarists were the ones that I had interviewed or chatted with on the first episode of this series, Offstage. Now, since we've spoken about the band and what it's like to write original music and how we formed as a band, let's talk about some memories that we've formed as part of a band, so that we encourage people to join bands, because I think all of us can vouch that it's a lot of fun being a part of a band.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's for sure. Honestly, I mean, some of the memories I've had in the Octavium studio with you all and just composing, jamming are like things that I will not forget for sure. I mean, even just recently, from all the times we performed, we recently were on radio as well, live on radio. On 31st night. So like 3-4 days before that, I was at my college, and I came like a week before back to Bangalore. So we only had that single week to get ready with nearly 9 songs or so.
Yeah, and that week was our Christmas holiday week.
Yeah, including originals, by the way. So
including originals,
including originals.
It
was an insane week where we were there in the studio nearly 8 to 10 hours almost every day.
Yeah.
But the beauty of that was it never felt overbearing or like tiring out as such, like how you would feel after 8 or 10 hours of studying or something like that. It never felt as work, despite
Yeah.
what we were doing might have exhausted as much energy, if not more. It genuinely felt like something that we could keep on doing forever, really. Because in such an atmosphere, when you're just jamming out music and going towards a goal with people that you have good chemistry with, you just lose track of time.
Right. Harsh, anything to add to that?
I mean, I think he covered all of it. It was basically like spending 10 hours together for a day and like going back home and waking up the next day and looking forward to spending those 10 more hours again. So, yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. And yeah, I have a lot of memories in the Octavium studio, and yeah, I cherish them a lot. I remember when I bought my bass, like I pulled it out of my bag and everybody was freaking out. Like, whoa, that is so cool.
All this is making us sound like some old tatas. We're looking back upon years. this happened. This happened last month.
What? No.
Yeah, today is Feb 4th, and
No, I was talking about when I bought my bass.
I know. I'm talking about the radio gig,
Oh,
which
yeah, the
happened.
radio gig happened
that happened last month.
yeah.
But I think what we are all trying to say is this kind of stuff is stuff and memories you will look back upon years from now, and they're really stuff to remember. You remember it as the times of where you had some of the most fun. So if anyone's interested in joining a band, I encourage you to form a band, find fellow musicians, and you'll have tons of fun. Trust me, it's something.
Yeah,
that's,
and it doesn't have to be something good right at the beginning. It could
Yeah.
just be you and your friend jamming it out and
Yeah.
doing random stuff. Doesn't
Yeah.
have to make any sense, and it will just grow from that. That's how Asilo to Let
I
started.
mean,
I
even
think
the side
Pranav
of
and
like
Ritvik were.
especially that it was
Yeah.
Ritik and I just jamming out in the same school, and it grew to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and since we mentioned that we have one original song that we did record it, if you guys want to check it out, it's there on SoundCloud. It's called Dense Approach by the band Asilo to Let. It's quite an old song. For us, it's like some 2-3 years old. It wouldn't be considered an old song, but 2-3 years old. It's a good song. I still enjoy listening to it. So if anyone is interested, you can go check it out there. And we are running out of time. It's been so before we close episode 3 for the second time, anything you guys want to say right before we close?
I think our theme of this podcast was play bass.
Yeah, play bass, man. Just play bass.
Make a band play bass.
Play bass.
Make a band, play bass, write original music. All over. Yeah, this will be mentioned in the caption.
Literally, because I noticed the shortage of bass players, I went out and bought a bass myself and started.
Yeah.
I mean, in my college of like 8,000 people, I think I can count the number of bass players in one hand, including myself.
Even I picked up the bass because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
All of us are playing bass now because bass players aren't started. So, yes, as we learned from this episode, the biggest takeaway: learn bass.
Yes.
If you wanna make it as a musician, bass is your best option because they shortage.
Yeah, so stop dissing bass. Stop hating on basses, man.
You might get teased in the band itself, but they'll fly without you.
It's been tons of fun having you guys for this episode of Offstage, and I think we are ready to sign off. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.